This meeting of the Columbia County Board of Commissioners to order for this Tuesday, October the 16th, 2018. This time I'd like to ask our Vice Chair, Mr. Doug Duncan, to offer up our invocation.
Thank you. Please pray with me. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you again for a great day in Columbia County. We thank you for the many blessings you've bestowed on this county. Father, we thank you for those men and women who serve the fire department and the sheriff's department, all those folks who are the first responders who get out to provide service, to care for this community. Father, we also pray for those men and women downrange in the military. Please keep them safe. Thank you for their service. I pray that you'd be with us tonight, be in this conversation. In Christ's name, amen.
Thank you. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do have a quorum with all 5 commissioners present. Gentlemen, you have before you the minutes of our meeting of October the 2nd. If you're satisfied with their content, we'll accept a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Second.
Any items needing any further discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Mr. Johnson, I think we've rewritten this agenda 2 or 3 times. You want to give us your version of the changes?
With your permission, we would like to move the Employee of the Month to item G1B, move that to our November meeting. That employee couldn't be with us tonight. We would like to move H2A, which is an item on consent, to I2B4. That's the parking deck RFQ. Make it a debate item, and it's got some changes there that will be discussed during that, if you're so inclined. And then another item on the consent agenda, H2F, would move to I2B5. Also have some additional information for that. That was being bid as the committee was happening. That's for your consideration.
Okay. We'll accept those and move on with the agenda with those corrections. Again, I want to welcome each of you to this meeting of the Commission. Remind you that these proceedings are videotaped. You may obtain a copy through a request through the Commission office, or you may see those on the county website after 2 or 3 days. Remind you, too, that you're invited to speak to this body. We do ask, though, that you limit your comments to something that hadn't been said already, as we have a lot of requests to speak tonight. But remind you, too, that if you're not already on the agenda or filled out a speaker form, there are some additional forms in the back. Bring them up to Ms. Crawley here, and we'll recognize you at the proper time during the meeting. But again, welcome to this meeting of the Commission. And I believe that under recognition, I may be wrong, but I thought we had some scouts here tonight. Do we have some scouts here?
Back left.
Would you stand and give us your name and the troop you represent? Thank you for being here. Hope you learned something tonight.
Picked a humdinger, Zach.
We do have a very special moment here with the recognition of one of our own that serves in the Georgia legislature. Miss Jody Lott is going to receive an award from the Association of County Commissioners. We welcome Larry Ramsey Jr. And Joel Wiggins with the Georgia Municipal Association. I'd like to tell Mr. Wiggins up front, we usually don't allow GMA people to come to this meeting, but we're making a special occasion tonight. Thank y'all for being here. Ms. Lott, would you come on up?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I'm Larry Ramsey and Joel Wiggins with GMA, and I think we're moving toward a new day with GMA and ACCG. The counties and the cities have really reinvigorated their efforts to work together, particularly in the last several months. Some of the administration has changed, but we're here tonight to appreciate your hosting our presentation of legislative awards to Representative Jody Lott. These last 2 years, Jody came, I think, particularly to us, and she was hearing from you and the jurisdictions in her district about issues with sales tax information. And you may have run into this problem yourself, and many counties have, and I think cities as well. As you probably know, you get sales tax wired into your account every month or so, but we don't really have any ability at the county or city side to know whether it's right, whether it's, reflecting the businesses in your jurisdiction or not. And what has often happened over time, because we don't have that info up front, we also find out on the back end about significant sales tax refunds. The DOR processes refunds. You don't know it's coming until all of a sudden your money goes down. DOR won't tell you why, other than that they've processed a refund. You may have experienced it. I know we have many jurisdictions that have, many counties that have. And you can imagine what that does to your budget when you're midstream and all of a sudden the revenue you were expecting not come in. I could bore you with several stories of some counties that have had massive refunds hit their budget and impact them for months on end. That's the problem. And Representative Lott really took the lead in trying to help us from the county and city side to get more information to help us as counties and cities to help DOR do its job. So as a result of Jody's efforts, Senate Bill 371 and Senator Anderson on the Senate side as well worked on this, but Jody really took the lead in the first place. 371 was passed, which will allow us at the county level to get current lists of businesses that are paying sales tax in your jurisdiction. We won't know how much. The business community doesn't want us to know how much. They consider that a competitive issue. But we'll be able to get lists so you'll know who's paying in your jurisdiction. So you'll be able to see, okay, I know there's a business missing. DOR, will you check into this and see whether there's a problem? Or I see a business on there that I don't recognize from Columbia County, for example. DOR, will you check into that? We want to help DOR do their job, find problems before they become long-term problems. So Jody really took the lead on that, worked with us, worked with GMA, worked with the business community, which again is very concerned about how much info gets out there about their businesses. As a result, 371 was passed, the governor signed it, and so as we move forward, we'll have this tool at our disposal to help protect our revenues, to help DOR do its job. And so as Bill and I were comparing awards, and GMA's is much smaller than ACCG's, but we do want to present Jody with this portrait of Columbia County Courthouse, so you can see, so she'll always remember some of the back home folks here in Columbia County, and we really appreciate your time and, again, hosting us tonight, and I know Joel will probably want to say something on behalf of the cities.
First of all, thank y'all for allowing me to attend. Very glad to be here, and I want to tell you that you have a fantastic advocate in Representative Lott. She worked with us every step of the way, was very attentive to the process, and make sure this bill got over the line. So thank you very much, Representative Lott. May not be as big, but it will fit on your desk. So thank you very much. Happy to be here.
I would like to say to all of you, thank you, but really I would like to tell a little bit of the story to everyone that's in attendance today. I think, so I apologize for turning my back on you, but I would like you all to know that I didn't actually do the work on this, and this is the greatest part about being a representative in Columbia County, is that we meet together with our county commissioners once a year to see what our issues are. And in my first year as a representative, we sat at the table, and I had county commissioners and our administrator present this issue to me. Then not only did they give me the issue, but they did all the work. They did the paperwork. So I get to stand here and accept an award for us just having an incredible county commission. And I'd just like to say thank you, all of you, for all that you've done for me and for supporting me and giving me the right information so that I can get things done in Atlanta. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we want to get a picture, Representative Lott. If you can do that, we'll have our public relations manager get that.
And for those of you that might not have been able to follow all of that presentation, as you can see by the attendance tonight, Columbia County is one of the fastest growing counties in the country. And yet, our sales tax revenue continues to fall below the state average. Whenever we ask how that's possible, we're told that they can't tell us. So her bill will go a long way towards giving some transparency to that concern that we've had for many years now. That at the rate we're growing, dealing with the pains of growth, we have not seen those numbers resulted in our sales tax revenue as we continue to grow. So, again, thank you, Representative Lott, for all your work.
Would like to commend our county administrator because I volunteered him for duty, I guess, almost 2 years ago to work with ACCG, the county commissioners, and GMA to try to work out some of the problems we had between counties and cities. He worked very hard. It didn't, like was mentioned earlier, it didn't produce a lot of good results, but it laid the groundwork for the new administration that you mentioned there, Mr. Wiggins, to change the attitude between counties and cities, and I think we've come a long way in that regard, and Scott did a great job in moving that along.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Next presentation is something we like to do, the team of the third quarter, being presented by by Commissioner Allen to the broadband utility. Well, it says Vice Chair Duncan, so all I can do is read.
Come on up.
Members of broadband present, come on down.
Yeah, I think Mr. Duncan has stain on his tie. I just didn't want anyone to see, so he asked me to do this. Please, y'all come on up. This is a very, very important story that I wasn't even fully aware of the details of beforehand, and I would like to relay the actions that brought this award to this particular team. The broadband team, consisting of Lewis Foster, Mike Murphy, Gary Thurman, and Alan Clary, worked long hours in order to support the county's growing fiber optic network. The team works hard every day in order to provide outstanding service to its customers, both internal and external to the county government, and they have developed a reputation for technical knowledge, dedication, and dependability. Without elaborating on that too much, we are the only county that I'm aware of in this nation that has the type of broadband system that we have, that was funded the way it was, primarily through federal grants, and was put together, again, with great thanks to our staff, our administrators, and people that work in IT. It gives us a utility that few other communities have of broadband throughout our entire county. But specifically, in this case, the dedication and technical skill of this team was put to the test on the evening of August 9th, 2018, when a lightning strike from a major thunderstorm damaged broadband equipment at the county camp tower site right down the road here, which subsequently disabled the county radio network. Columbia County is ahead of most of its contemporaries in the fact that our radio network is unified with all of our emergency responders, as well as those surrounding us. When it goes out, everything goes out. In the 6 years that the broadband network has been operational, an emergency of this magnitude has never occurred, which is testimony to the overall dependability of that system. This unprecedented event happened shortly before 5 p.m., and the team responded immediately. The team worked diligently throughout the evening and into the next morning, performing damage assessments, system diagnostics, and troubleshooting the problem. Once the solution was found, the team again applied their technical skills to the task in order to relocate equipment, implement the solution, and restore service, which happened at approximately 2 a.m. the following morning. The broadband team takes great pride in the dependability of a system that they support. This catastrophic lightning strike and downtime that followed was a blow to their pride, but it also provided an opportunity for them to work hard as a team in order to bring the radio system and fiber optic network back to its fully operational basis. Thank you all so much for what you did. You helped keep the county going and kept keep the county safe, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you. Actually, if you'd like to introduce yourself real quick, and then I'll let your director speak.
Mike Murphy. Lewis Foster.
Allison Pritchard.
Gary Thurman.
And Alan Clary.
Sir, if you'd like to say a few words about your team.
Broadband, that's not a name you typically think of when you think about county departments. You think about engineering, you think about fire rescue, you think about finance and procurement. Broadband is not on the list of departments that you can name. But as Commissioner Allen just said, they're vitally important to what the county does. Every email that gets sent, every traffic signal every time there's I'll say a green light instead of red light that you go through. Every radio call, every time you call 911, at some point, that signal is going to pass through some fiber that broadband put down. They work day and night, literally into the night. And I was there, so I can testify to their skills. Even Alan, I'll put an extra plug for him because he went up to the Ridge Road Tower site to get parts at 2 a.m. And that tower is right behind a cemetery. So, so he's brave as well as handsome. But this team makes me very proud. I'm very pleased and proud to be their division director, and they are worthy of as many accolades as we can get.
Lewis, you've got to talk, man.
Well, I just want to thank this wonderful team that we're part of and also a wonderful county. We've been truly blessed by great leadership. I experienced over at the EOC when we had it last week, the hurricane coming through Michael, how much everyone was working, depending about outages and all. I just cannot say enough about how proud I am. I'm a citizen of Columbia County and being part of a great team.
I think we need a picture. I think she's demanding a picture, so.
Us too.
We have an item on our agenda a little bit later that's created a lot of interest in the community. And we have a good many people that wish to speak, both pro and con. I would encourage you that as we get into these, that if you have anything new to add, we certainly invite you to come speak. But if it's just repetition of what's already been said, we'd appreciate you acknowledging that and declining to speak. I think we got them in order. We recognize Ms. Angie Beck. And would each of you give us your name and address as you come?
Yes.
Yes.
My name's Angie Beck. My address,
Yes.
4156 Mullicum Road. I'm a real estate agent, and I am part of the sales team at Magnolia Valley Plantation since September 2015. I'm here today in favor of Mr. Aaron Sullivan's land that is proposed to be rezoned to an R2 residential subdivision. I believe there is a need and a desire for more new homes in the area. As you all know, we have had a tremendous influx of people coming to the county.
Yes.
And as you spoke of that earlier. And many home buyers are coming and they are wanting new homes. I've had several agents come to me looking for more new homes. We're very limited right now as to what we have to offer. I've had home buyers come to me, and I've talked to builders. They don't have any lots or land, many of them, to build. And so I do think that there is a need. And also I wanted to say today that I'm in support of our developer, Mr. Aaron Sullivan. After looking through the minutes from the last meeting you had here, I noticed several false claims suggesting that maybe he had neglected his duties as a developer to our neighborhood. These claims were simply untrue, many of them. I don't know about all of them, but I'm going to speak some of them. I felt it was unfair to judge Mr. Sullivan as a developer over misconceptions brought up by the current HOA president. Having worked in the subdivision over the last few years, I can attest that Mr. Sullivan has been the most hands-on and helpful developer I've ever worked with. Aaron is always supportive of us and of the customers and potential buyers and homeowners. He's always been willing to answer my calls, willing to come out and speak with people if there was an issue. He's always been there to make things right for the home buyers and never wants anyone to feel treated unfairly. He's fought many of the builders on behalf of the home buyers. And he stays on top of the builders to make sure they're following the guidelines of the neighborhood. As I read the HOA president's remarks from the last meeting, I believe there were just some misconceptions on his part and many other homeowners. I previously worked as a community association manager, been in this building many times, having meetings, and managing HOAs in this area. I learned a lot about how all of that works, and a lot of the complaints I would get were the same complaints he had, saying that the developer needed to give sidewalks, street lights. Well, many developers don't include that. There are many neighborhoods that don't have sidewalks, street lights. And, you know, the homeowners can petition to get the street lights after a certain number of homes are built. And that's what we have told them. The developer of this neighborhood did not plan for street lights or sidewalks. We've never promised that to anyone, none of the sales agents from our group or the developer. And also, another thing that was brought up, but there's a problem with the pool, that it was in need of repair. This is the first I've heard of it. You would think being out there all the time, people would come to you and let you know. I've made friends with lots of people in the neighborhood. I've never heard a negative thing, dissatisfaction with the pool. As part of our sales team, our resort-style pool amenity has been one of our greatest selling features in Magnolia Valley. I've always been proud of our pool resort, and to my knowledge, all the homeowners have been happy. So I did just want to clear up those things that were, you know, that may mislead you in making your decisions. Also, I wanted to say, with all of that, I am here today in favor of the land being rezoned to R2. And Mr. Sullivan has proven to be a competent, capable, trustworthy, and caring developer. It has been a pleasure to work with a developer that puts homeowners first, puts the home buyers first, and goes above and beyond to make their home buying process a successful and happy occasion. I believe the proposed plans he has set forth are very appealing and desirable to this area. And I am excited to see the vision that Mr. Sullivan has to carry out on his beautiful land. It's an excellent proposal to make the best use of this land as we look for more opportunities to grow and welcome new members to our growing community. The proposed plan to convert what was the funeral home into a clubhouse and amenity center with a pool and playground is very attractive, and I'm sure that many home buyers would love this type of neighborhood to call their home. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ms. Jessica Street.
My name is Jessica Street, address 298 Wakefield Lane in Martinez. I'm also a flight team member at Magnolia Valley Plantation, Magnolia Hills, and I've been there since the beginning of the development. I was a newer agent when Aaron brought me on as part of this site team. At that time I was only licensed for 2 years. And during my time as a site team member, Aaron has helped me grow as an agent, and I've always been impressed with Aaron and how hands-on he is, his level of involvement and commitment to the development and the customers. I learned this early on when he assisted me and Angie Beck with a potential buyer who was under contract on a home, and they had their heart set on another home in our development, and Aaron stepped in and really helped make that deal work for him. And I have a letter. Lieutenant Colonel Wayne White and his wife Crystal White sent a letter. They couldn't be here tonight, but I was going to read it on their behalf. Dear Columbia County Board of Commissioners, we are proud residents of the Magnolia Valley Plantation subdivision, and we are writing to express our support and appreciation of the developer, Mr. Aaron Sullivan, and his wife, Ms. Allison Sullivan. We are truly grateful for this genuine concern shown to us during our home buying experience. Mr. and Ms. Sullivan were personally involved throughout our home purchase and took their personal time to explain the process to us. They went well above our expectations by negotiating directly with the builder on our behalf on several occasions to ensure our concerns were addressed. They also took particular interest in striving to satisfy our every request for added amenities. Additionally, they also waived out our homeowners' initiation fee out of genuine kindness. We can honestly say that Aaron and Allison were truly a godsend for us as we re-entered the home buying experience once again after a 30-year military career. The entire Magnolia Valley Plantation staff was amazing. The attention to detail, patience, and honest treatment was a customer's dream. The pool and recreation area is beautiful and fitting for our community. The special encounter with Aaron and Allison in March 2016 has developed into a lifelong friendship that continues to this day. You will not find a better developer, kinder friends, or more personable professionals. Throughout our home buying experience, Aaron and Allison kept every promise we made according to the housing contract and exceeded all expectations by providing extra comforts and superior service on the highest level. We thank God for Aaron and Allison Sullivan and the Magnolia Valley Plantation sales staff of Ms. Jessica and Ms. Angie. Sincerely, Lieutenant Colonel Wayne and Crystal White. And I, like Angie, felt compelled to speak today after reading the minutes from the last meeting on October 4th. We were surprised to hear some of the concerns that were brought up. We're very proud of this development. It was never designed with sidewalks, like Angie said. We made that very clear to everyone that came in. And we let them know that we have wider than average roads, large front lawns. And like Angie said, recently we had side hours. We were there 7 days a week, and we've never heard any complaints about the pool, recreation facility. But all in all, I'm very confident that any development that Aaron and Allison Sullivan do will be a great asset to this community, and I'm strongly in favor. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Chad Cooper.
My name is Chad Cooper. I'm 347 Bella Rose, there with Magnolia Valley. Represent the Homeowners Association. There we go. Maybe.
You thought you were interrupted.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. Sorry, I got the phone call last night at 9 o'clock saying slide deck, so. Are you guys able to see on the screen? I can start walking through this.
Yes.
So last meeting we had a lot of aerial shots, specifically, let's see really what it looks like on the ground. Adult screen, I got it. All right, so what we're looking at through here is with the streetlight petitions. Let's start through there. Last meeting, it may not be standardized, but the problem that we have through here is almost a near impossible task. So what you look at through here with the traffic engineering department, I get a 90-day window. 90-day window to have a wet signature, to have minimally 75% of homeowners to actually sign that. It's a two-verification form. Once I'm able to obtain at minimally 75%, I get to submit that back to the traffic engineering department. Traffic engineering department actually calls minimally 33%, which I have right here to the side. You can see the actual petition, or up to 100%. If they go up to 100% and they are not able to get that, the petition is canceled. So we have to restart the process. We're at 3.5 years of getting it done. We are underneath promising of doing that, of getting that put in. I cannot go to Georgia Power or any other resident and get one individually contracted. And we feel that putting that added restriction onto the developer, which is still going to be passed on to the builder, from the builder onto the homeowner, we think that's actually okay to do that. Looking at the amenities, we specifically talked about the pool that was put in. We paid the initiation fee. We'll talk about the totals here on the next slide. We actually took a loan directly to Aaron Sullivan to pay for this. For the brief purpose through here, I didn't bring the financials, but we can break that down if you want to schedule on for a later on meeting. So you talk about individual doing the right thing. Again, we are paying for this, so we're asking to be fully represented. We're for the building of the zoning, but we're asking it to do it correctly. That's really what we're looking down to. And so we'll continue on to the next slide. Looking through here, this is his development, which current restrictions we're currently stating that right now is a 10% only green space, which is currently the only restriction he's asking for. So you look up through here, the green space through here, this is where he had the EPA violations. I live right over here. Our current roads, if you look at the substreet, the current grade which he has through there, he put down in 15 pounds. Currently what's being used is 45 pounds. Our roads are failing. So we ask again, we can't take control of those. We talked to Dan in the engineering department. You have a $2 million budget that's projected out. He said he can come out and patch the roads, but again, and his own engineers from the last meeting stated that the roads are failing. They are not meant for that because of the clay and the wetlands that's through here. The question that we ask here, as closer you get to the wetlands, it's only going to be more of an issue. We have green algae growing on the streets. We have flood issues throughout the regular homes. It is just a nightmare that's there on the ground. So again, the more closer that you get to the wetlands, I can only see that being more of an issue. Particularly when you look at previously from the other slide, he had only aerial photos, trying to bypass the Army Corps of Engineers to actually really, what is that going to look like for the EPA as far as in drainage and so forth. Again, I would just say that really needs to be addressed because it's a current issue now. Looking at the financials, again, you look at William Few. This is the main entrance to the community, which you'll see the pool area through here. Again, they're trying to bypass a turning lane. So again, I'm telling you right now, you bring in a minimally between two communities, that's 732 homes. That's going to be 500 homes in this community. You have Magnolia, Whispering Ponds across the street. They are going out for a 5-year build plan. That is insane not to put any type of sidewalks out there. The crossing of children. This is a windy, bendy road that's through here.
Mr. Cooper, your time is up.
Okay.
Could you wrap it up, please?
Okay, wrapping it up. Looking at through here, we feel that having a representation here tonight is that we're paying for that. As you look at through here in our covenants, he highlighted that we're paying the $1475 directly to Aaron Sullivan. He's already collected $342,000, and additionally through here, he's going to collect another $395. So a total of $737,000 he's going to collect. We say that he has the availability. We're paying for it. All we're asking for is representation that if he does build it, he builds it correctly, and you gentlemen can do that tonight with a stroke of a pen.
So your concern is the street lights and the amenities with the pool package?
It's not the pool package that I'm really concerned about. I'm concerned about the roads, the infrastructure, because currently right now, he's already voided the warranty. After 2 years, the city inherits that. So as part of the property association, what we look at through here, anything that goes on, that comes back down on us. Even though if we have the money, we cannot go legally fix the streets. That's a violation. You guys don't have the money for that. Again, that's an issue. So we begin looking at saying, hey, can we do the right thing? We have current water issues, flooding issues, things like that. How can we sit there and do the right thing as we get closer to the wetlands to ensure that we get the Army Corps of Engineers, not current aerial photos, to really look at what's going there on the ground?
Mr. Cooper, that's all been hashed in the past. It's up to the Corps and to EPD to handle those issues.
Okay.
I don't really see that it's pertinent to what we're looking at here tonight. So,
okay.
Thank you. Ms. Joanna McDonald.
I'm Joanna Wise McDonald. My address is 104 Pondview Road, Evans. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm a resident of Columbia County, have been since 1991. I've been in real estate since 2004, and I began working with Aaron Sullivan in 2008. So I have a long-term relationship with him that goes back to, excuse me, Woodmill Plantation, the final phase. My experience with him, I could speak for days and days about the level of integrity, the care that he has for his communities, what he's taught me over the years in terms of, selling honestly, always going above and beyond what the buyers, even for the buyers, the salespeople, the builders, so forth. I've been in countless meetings with him and potential buyers, which they all became residents. A lot of them still probably are residents. So I just wanted to, just lay out a few things about him as, just a developer, my relationship with him over the last 10 years.
Are these things that hadn't been talked about already?
They have, yes, sir. So I'm going to move on. Some of these things were already mentioned about just clarifying that we've never, sidewalks have never been mentioned or have never been promised in the community. As far as the pool and the state of the pool, we've only been, told good things about it. I will touch on the initiation fees that were commented about. As far as the covenants, it does state many times from pages 25 to 46 about the initiation fees and what they're for. But in terms of 30, if you go to page 36 and 37, it kind of states that the initiation fee is just a membership fee. It doesn't include any repairs, maintenance, so forth and so on. So that's pretty clear there. As far as any problems that are with the maintenance, just like most communities, including my personal community that I reside in, our HOA fees maintain that, which is the same for Magnolia Valley Plantation, Magnolia Hills. As far as my thought in terms of shutting down the zoning for the potential building of the section that's being proposed, to me, it would be harmful for the HOA just because of the amount of homes that are part of that HOA. I mean, it takes many, many homes to maintain that my neighborhood alone probably maintains 1,000 homes, and my HOA dues go up continuously just trying to maintain our amenities. So I think it is it's a huge need, and there's no way that the amount of homes that are in Magnolia Valley Plantation, Magnolia Valley Hills can maintain all of that expense over time. Just in closing, I think the expansion of Magnolia Valley Plantation, it's always been part of the plan. It's also stated in the HOAs, the covenants, on page 34. It goes into the extension or what's planned. We've always shared that as part of, the initial plan. I think that honestly, I've been asked that almost by every person that has walked in, every potential buyer that's walked in that office has always asked me, what's the plan for, Honey Lane, which is where it shows the continuation. It's pretty obvious. And my answer, just like I'm sure the other sales team members have always been, there is future development. And of course, with future development, in most cases, it should help increase the value of the current developments that are already standing. And quite frankly, the response has always been pure excitement. So I do think it's would be great for the area, and I am in favor for it. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. Mr. Philip Green.
Good evening, Philip Green, 5774 Carriage Hills Drive, Martinez. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight about the rezoning. My name is Philip Green. I'm with Southern Partners, representing my client, and here to represent what has been recommended for approval by the Planning Commission and also the staff in the county. So my client and I have worked through for months trying to come to an agreement as to something that could work on this piece of property that would meet the county's ideals for larger lots and larger side setbacks. We went through a variety of plans and concepts, of which weren't really going to satisfy either party. So we settled on a straight R2 zoning, which I believe is appropriate in this use. Going back to the Vision 2035, which is a document which I'm sure you're familiar with as it was adopted by this board. This area is identified as a medium density residential development. And as the staff narrative that I'm sure you have states, the R2 zoning district requested meets the intent of allowing moderate density, single-family residential development in this area. As you know, the Vision 2035 is required by state law for the counties to adopt a comprehensive plan, and in which it's defined as the process by which the direction of future growth and development in the county will be determined. The outcome of the process will be growth management plan and future land use map that will act as a blueprint for development in the county. Again, as all this points to, the R2 fits within this 2035 plan for Columbia County. I believe it is an appropriate zoning. It is the highest and best use for my client's property, which he has the desire and right to develop. Couple of minor things, if I could address. One of the previous speakers talked about, well, the plan that he put up was an old plan. Obviously, the lot sizes are not R2 on that plan that he had on the future development. So that is not a conceptual layout that we have presented for this property. Again, the R2 lots are 10,000 square foot, 75-foot minimum frontage with 10-foot side setbacks. Don't want you guys to get the wrong idea about that layout that was shown. In addition, he mentioned EPA violation on the stream. The stream has never been part of the EPA claims on the site. And then finally, as regards to the roads, as again, I'm sure you guys are aware, standards have changed over time in Columbia County. As we see the issues that occur with the soils that are in Columbia County, adjustments are made. At the time the subdivision was built, it was built in accordance with the current county specifications. There were county inspectors on site to make sure it was done properly. The subgrade was properly amended and then pavement put down. I can say moving forward, again, one of the items that's on the list of conditions is a specific road cross-section. And one of the things I would ask is that condition just note that when development plans are submitted, we will meet the current county standards and specifications. We will do the pavement design that's required by the analysis. We would do a traffic study to enumerate, and I have no doubt in my mind that left turn lanes will be required out on that road. We would do a left turn lane that would enumerate the geometry of those left turn lanes and when they would need to be put in. Am I running short or long?
You can wrap it up.
Okay. So again, my client's willing to abide by all the current county codes and regulations. He's just asking for the R2 zoning. If necessary, we'll defer to the board's judgment as to whether or not the conditions should be modified or whether or not they could be approved as stated in the report. Either way, we are requesting an approval from the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Matt Forshey.
Good evening. My name is Matt Forshey. My wife Allison and I and our 3 children reside at 2204 Resort Drive in Evans in the Magnolia Valley subdivision. Our home, as shown on this attached map, which I'll be happy to provide you, is directly across from the Magnolia Valley Pool. Before I begin, let me also thank you for your time as public servants. I spent 6 years serving as the planning director for the quickly growing Oconee County, Georgia Board of Commissioners, and I greatly appreciate the time and effort you put into this job, a job that often goes unthanked. So thank you for your time and your service. I know that many of my neighbors and the HOA will and have addressed concerns around lot density, traffic, and streets. I would like to address the development and its proposed amenity package. Our neighborhood is currently platted in 3 phases, has 232 platted lots. All of those 232 homes use one amenity lot, located across from our home. The amenity lot is centrally located to the existing neighborhood, and though our subdivision has no sidewalks, most people are able to walk to the pool. There are approximately 32 parking spaces at the pool, but normally only 5 to 7 cars are parked here during the busiest times of the pool's use. The developer has proposed this rezone on 340 acres, of which at the Planning Commission, his agent Philip Green stated Only about 250 acres of the property are developable. With 10,000 square foot lot averages, plus 2,000 square feet of average street frontage, a 250-acre area would allow for approximately 900 additional homes. That's 3.9 times larger than our current neighborhood. In his submitted zoning request narrative for Bella Lakes, the developer of the proposed rezone before you has stated that, quote, a portion of this development will also have access to the Magnolia Valley Plantation Junior Olympic Pool Complex, which includes changing rooms, grilling area, and a playground. As a note, our neighborhood does not have a playground. What portion of his development will have access to our pool? He states the pool was, quote, constructed to serve 500 lots, yet it is only a junior Olympic-sized pool. Could 500 families show up at the pool one hot summer day? This facility will not be able to handle those numbers. Additionally, while most of the existing 232 homes are within walking distance of the pool, his proposed development will all likely need to drive to the pool. If we stick to his 500 home number, that's 268 additional homes that will most likely be driving to our amenity area, trying to park in 32 spaces. There will be congestion on the streets around my house and my neighbors' homes, and this will potentially cause traffic issues. The developer has also said that once the existing complex reaches capacity, a second amenity package including pool and playground will be constructed behind the original cemetery site to serve the remainder of the development. If his new Bella Lakes neighborhood will have access to our amenity, we have access to their amenity? Is it intended to be ultimately owned and operated by the Magnolia Valley Plantation HOA, or will there be a Bella Lakes HOA that will own and operate their own amenity area? To my knowledge, none of these issues have been addressed by the developer. In closing, I would ask the Commission to consider adding an additional condition that would address the proposed amenity area of Bella Lakes. In my time as a planning director, I came to understand that high-quality neighborhood amenities reduce the demand on the county government for resources to provide parks and recreation spaces and services. It can be a huge benefit to the neighborhoods if they are done properly. I would ask that the Commission add one of the following conditions. Quote, the area proposed as Bella Lakes shall provide its own self-contained amenity package to serve all homes to be built therein and shall not utilize the amenity area of Magnolia Valley Plantation. Or, the developer of the area proposed as Bella Lakes shall construct and operate an amenity area to consist of, at a minimum, a full-size Olympic pool and a playground. Said amenity area shall be constructed and in operation no later than the platting of the 150th residential lot in the development under this rezone. Said amenity area shall be shared and utilized equitably between the developments of Bella Lakes and Magnolia Valley Plantation as a continuation of the amenities originally provided to the Magnolia Valley Plantation subdivision. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, sir.
May I have a copy, Matt?
Absolutely.
I can't write that.
Anyone else?
Yes. Thank you.
Come on out.
Ms. Susan Hathaway.
I live at 5320 Magnolia Drive. I have a house beside it, 5335 Magnolia Drive. Heather and I both own Canterbury Farms I own. So I have three houses that this all can impact. Though I do not know Aaron Sullivan per se, I don't stand up here and support him. I don't support his actions. And I'm going to ask all of you, please listen to what I have to say. It's going to affect fire. I'm a retired firefighter. I'm a retired nurse. 24 years United States. Training soldiers to go into very dangerous situations. Now I'm a rancher. Okay? And I have 150 acres out in Lincoln. So I've invested in the state, left the state of Texas, the great state of Texas, to come here and invest a lot in the state of Georgia. Has anybody considered, because I wasn't able to come to your last meeting because my father-in-law passed away, have you considered what is going to be on the response of EMS? Because they have a response time. That means you're going to need to have more EMS in the county. How about your firefighters? I speak for them too, because I am a retired firefighter in the great state of Texas. Worked many a fire for a long time. So, response time there. You have a great system here in Columbia County. You've got a lot to be proud of. But the more you tax these entities. Our sheriff's department, outstanding. You tax all these entities. Do you have the funds to hire all these people that are going to be needed, expand all these homes? Now, I'm sorry, I'm one of the negative people that comes up here. I do not work for Aaron Sullivan, and I'm glad. I'm not up here with a piece of paper, a flowered letter for you. I speak from my heart on this neighborhood. William Few is going to become a parkway from hell, literally. We have already had accidents there. I've been here for 10 years. One child died. Two children had an accident not too far, actually, at the very end of Magnolia Drive, going at very high speed. I'm glad they didn't hit the trees they did, because if they'd gone any further, they would have killed the people in the house there. I'm glad they walked away. They were very fortunate. God was watching out for them. That road is dangerous. Have you thought about the school systems? They're already at max capacity. And since I've been here, you've built 2 elementary schools and a high school. Now, I don't think any of you want your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren into a school system that has 30-plus students, and that one child can't get the attention they need.
Ma'am, are you familiar with our planning and zoning procedure?
I'm familiar with some of it. I'm just here speaking from my heart. And I'm
So
sorry.
you
I don't
know,
have
each one of these items that you brought up is part of the review. The school board gets a comment. The sheriff's department gets comments. The fire department gets comments. The traffic division makes comments. All this is considered before it gets out of planning and zoning.
Well, I wasn't able to be here, like I said, because I was attending my father-in-law's funeral.
Well, I'm sorry for that.
I feel like that since two of you, I affect your districts, as I have homes that I pay a lot of taxes on those homes, on 3 homes. I felt like my opinion is just as good as anybody else's. And no, I don't work for Aaron Sullivan. I come up here as a citizen of your county and of 2 of your districts to let you know exactly how I feel.
But those items you brought up are considered in the initial process when a developer comes forth to request a rezoning. I'm sorry, if you want to speak, would you fill out a form and come up?
Okay. What was that?
I'm sorry, ma'am, your time is up.
Okay, well, I know what democracy stands for, and I don't think it's
I'll probably butcher this one, the Laurie Ikes. What are you referring to? Yes.
I've been here.
And you may do that still. But these people have requested ahead of time to speak, and we're going to recognize those first. No, we're not. Well, right here is 4 more. Is it Laurie? Is that Ikes? After what? Well, the floor is yours right now if you want to come forward.
I'll be brief. We bought in I'm sorry.
Name and address.
ICKES 5315 Magnolia Lane and Magnolia Plantation. We bought back in 2012, November 2012, and we bought out in that area primarily because it was low-density residential, low traffic. We would have the opportunity to enjoy a little bit more of the natural environment than we had had in the city and the previous places that we had lived. And when we moved out there, I called a city office or a county office, I can't remember which one, but it was a development and planning, and was told at that time that there wasn't anything really planned for that area of town, but some public conveniences, small stores, fast food, whatever. So wherever you have land, you're going to have development. We realize that. But my concern, of course, is William Few, like everyone else, no shoulders, lanes, I have a pristine driving record. But twice, I almost lost my life on there for people coming across the line, and there's nowhere to go if they do. There's stone barricades to keep erosion under control. It's just scary for me to drive it. And my other concern is that since we've moved out there, we have, and I want to thank Mr. Sullivan, because our property is directly across from his land. We're right on the dam of the Upper Lake. We have had the privilege for 7 years of looking across at his beautiful, well-kept, lovely property. And the question I wanted to ask him was, I'm grieved because I can see houses marching down the hillside, and I know that's inevitable. If he gets the right to build, then that will happen. But I just wanted to know, how far are the houses going to come all the way up to his home property? Are they going to come all the way across to that lake? Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead and answer if you wish to, or have Philip answer.
About 58 acres because the lake's surround, as you're looking. So there is no zoning request. I've had a few neighbors that all went down that road. I said this sooner or later, 7 years old. That land is, but to be honest with you, I think that kind of contract. 41 years. Premier developer. Actually, yep. What that says is, take the 340. Very special. They do a lot of that sort of development. I have the opportunity during that because we're taking phases to sell my house in the 50 years. That's what I'm going to try to do. I keep the road up. I own the road that comes in. All of our residents are happy. Kept it graveled all these years, graded, and I keep it up. Property, we try to keep it all like that. So during that 3-year period of time, option to take 5 acres and another 50, and then the last 58, if I haven't sold my house and that land, then they have the opportunity to buy that land. Would develop it, but they bring water and sewer access. So I understand that when you buy a tract, you would like everything to stay the same. I can remember being at Windmill and on phase 1, and people looking across the lake, and it's like, I hate to see the day that you develop on the side of that lake, but taxes, what you pay and what you do. For all this God's land, we're all this short time. See, if I cannot sell it as that, I might sell it as 10-acre tracts or 15, or I can't even do that. They could, possibility they could buy. But there's a misconception. These lots are really big. At 10,000 square foot, a 75-foot minimum. There's nowhere else around here that's like that. Not even our own subdivision with this. I will speak to that. But thank you. Thank you.
And then the only thing, and I think you've already addressed that too, was the wetland concerns. We had 125 Canadian geese on our back lawn this year, and we've just so enjoyed the wildlife that we've seen. So we hope that you'll protect that as much as possible.
Thank you, ma'am. Elizabeth Allred.
Can you hear me? Mr. Chairman and distinguished board, thank you for your time. I'm sorry. Oh, yep, thanks. My name is Elizabeth Allred, and I'm going to get nervous. And my address.
Nah, don't get nervous.
My address is 872 Windmill Lane. We live in Windmill Plantation, and I cry when I'm nervous. And the reason I'm up here is my family and I moved here about 1.5 years ago, and we like it. We like it a lot. The big thing I said to my husband when he retired after his 27-year career in the Army, was, I don't want to go to Georgia. And he's like, well, we're not going to go to Atlanta because of Atlanta. I should qualify.
That hurt.
Because I didn't, well, here's why. And I have two Georgia peaches. I have two kids that were born in Georgia. And I didn't want to go to Atlanta. But when he said, hey, let's, Augusta, he's like, Fort Gordon's growing. It's a great place. It is not Atlanta. And it is not. But at the rate that it is growing and at the rate that the roads are not being built in advance, it will become Atlanta. And I lived in Atlanta when I was single. Every subdivision down there, and you haven't heard this one before, I don't think. I've been trying to take notes. My husband came to the last meeting. He could only stay a short time because it was a work night, and he couldn't come up. But I don't know, Mr. Sullivan. You seem like a very nice man. I'm against the expansion, and here's why. Because everybody has good intentions at first. You know, we'll build the houses, and then we'll build this, or we'll build that, and we'll build this. But I think that what should be done first is the road needs to be expanded first. And the speed limits are terrible because we have all these new young kids in the area, my son included, who's a new driver. Now I know why my mom worried, right? Because your kids are out there behind the wheel and people are driving down William Few at 45, and you know everybody goes 10 miles over the speed limit, so they go 55. And it's curvy, it's not straight. There are no turn lanes in and out of any subdivision. I can't speak to the quality of the housing. That's not my concern. I know what you said, and I have not read, so I apologize in advance because I work and I have 3 kids. What I can tell you is my 2 children who attend Greenbrier High School are in portables, and there are a lot of portables. And when I told my daughter that I was coming tonight, I said to her, you know, what I was going to come for, and she goes, wow, Mom, and we've only lived here a year and a half. And she said, yeah, something needs to be done because this is crazy here. And she's like, and my classes are full. There was one class that I went to that there weren't even enough tables for kids to sit at. As a former military spouse, I guess once a military spouse, always a military spouse, I'm speaking for the families that aren't here and don't have a voice. Because what happens is military families come in and they come out, and people build, and they have the best of intentions. You've heard these people say that maybe they weren't promised sidewalks, but they think, hey, sidewalks would have been a great idea. I can tell you going down Windmill Lane that it's not wide enough, and it's a great neighborhood. I love my house. I have to pull over. If there's any car parked, you can't get a car parked and have cars passing. And again, we've got speed bumps through there. My big request, Mr. Chairman and gentlemen, all gentlemen, is a through road be built first. Because the biggest problem, you look at downtown Augusta and what's beautiful is it, you can cut through. You have side streets. There's a problem on one street, you can go to another street. There are no through streets. Windmill has 3 exits, and it's fantastic. But when you have subdivisions that have 1 exit or 2, but they empty out on the same road, you have bumper-to-bumper traffic. And if you want to look at the strategic planning and the quality of life, I work in the health profession, you want people to move here and be happy. You want them to have work-life balance. I had to race home from the hospital. I work at Doctor's Hospital, and I had to race home to go get my daughter at her activity. And I was like, oh, I hope I make it, I hope I make it. You know, but I know that there's 3 roads I can cut through to get to Greenbrier High School. But the more people and the more families that you add, it will, the schools, it'll take them a while to build the school, and it will take them a while to raise the money. What would need, my request is that there be stipulations through road built first, and that turning lanes be added, and that William Few be expanded, and Columbia Road, which is 4 lanes up till a certain point, and then it goes down to 2. And then lowering the speed on William Few, but has nothing to do with the expansion of the housing. But if you want people to come here and like it and not feel like they're in Atlanta, yes, I'm done. Okay. Well, I didn't see a timer. I didn't see a timer. But again, I'm speaking for the kids that can't come speak tonight.
Thank you, ma'am.
So please do your best and have a through road first.
Thank you, Ms. Allred.
Again, I wish to remind the remaining speakers, we know everybody's concerned about traffic. Whether that's a legitimate concern, I'm going to ask our engineer later on. Concerned about schools. School board reviewed this, didn't have any problem with it. You can't build new roads until you have a demand by the people there that the roads are overloaded. Turn lanes, you're exactly right. We need a lot more turn lanes. But Mr. Curtis Cullum, do you have anything new to add to our discussion?
My name is Curtis Cullum. Sorry, my voice is bad. I live at 2490 Williamview Parkway. I recently moved here from Richmond County about 3 months ago. Purchased 8 acres right on Williamview. I'm on the only straightaway on Williamview Parkway. I moved here next to my kids and grandkids. I don't have a whole lot more to share. Everybody's pretty much touched on everything. I just wanted to make this calm. We'll go through traffic. Obviously need. But I will say this, is that I spent 50 of my 60 plus years. Father was a during the planning commission, there was a little bit of kind of digged him a little bit. She's rightly so. When I was younger, we used to County of Vision, grown. I've moved here. I just want to leave. My father was downtown. My one say is this is our legacy. This is not all about just one subdivision.
Thank you, Mr. Cullum. Mr. Bill Fox, do you have anything to add? Okay.
I'm Bill Fox. I live at 715 Treetop Trail, part of the Whispering Pines development. Moved here, my wife and I moved here about 18 months ago. We really, really enjoy Columbia County. I know that you've said, please don't repeat what other people have to say, so I'll try and do it in a different way.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate, the opportunity, especially when we heard multiple real estate people who basically had the same message, okay? I understand that you gentlemen have a very, very difficult task on your hands. You've got certain people on this side, certain people on this side. The example that I'd like to present to you is, and I don't know if any of you ever had to drive on Washington Road before it was expanded, but when we moved here, it was in the process of the expansion. The traffic was horrible. Fortunately, I'm retired, so I can pick and choose when I go out on the roads, okay? Most people don't have that luxury. Now that Washington Road has been expanded, it's terrific. You can get up and down Washington Road and get where you need to be. The lady, and I don't remember her name, who marked or made comments about the traffic on William Few, that's what we're going to have. And I know you stated, Mr. Chairman, that this review has gone through some kind of public roads or traffic, whatever. I'd sure like to see and hear that report, because when I'm out on the road on William Few, if we're concerned about the safety of the people of our county, and we're concerned about how easily they're going to be able to move in and out of their homes and different businesses, then it's incumbent on this commission to make sure that there's some kind of plan for some roads before we add more homes. As a person who moved here, I was certainly glad that we had a development to choose. So I understand the need for that. I'm all excited and want growth, but we certainly want to do it the right way. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Marie Vernon.
Hi, I'm Dr. Marie Vernon. I live at 2541 William Few Parkway. And I apologize for speaking up earlier. I just wanted to speak on behalf of the community. I'm kind of a compromised type of person. I'm used to dealing with a lot of people. I love the county. I've been here since 1996. And my point is to get with compromise, obviously the people are very emotional. They really care about their community, which is awesome. And we're glad that you're here representing us. And I think they just want questions. I know, Chairman, you said you told the lady that couldn't make the other meeting, well, it was in the minutes or it was addressed. Actually, people don't understand. And I'm a veterinarian, but I don't understand your part of it. So anything you all can do to go ahead and address our fears when they do ask about the emergency facilities and the police. I know you might get tired of hearing it, but I actually was at the last meeting and that wasn't answered. About the schools was answered, but the roads are actually up in the air. An engineer came and Columbia County is requesting to save some land, possibly, unfortunately, through Mr. Sullivan's because it's all been taken up and Columbia County has no other choice. Maybe save some of his land to do a cut through or a connection from William Few to Hereford. Now, we don't even know if that's possible. But maybe we should get some answers before we decide on rezoning. I'm not against it either, but I don't think the people are wrong, and I feel like you all get mad that we're asking these questions, and we're sorry we're a little bit ignorant. But I literally do try to read through the minutes. I try to come. It's not always clear, so it might help diffuse. I actually called. I got a hold of a Mr. Clayton who runs the water and utilities because no one answered me if our utilities could hold it, and guess what? They actually can. That's great news. If everybody just maybe got that information, I have an email I can present to everybody of what we can handle. So maybe if we just got some of those answers too, it wouldn't be such a contentious thing where it's us against the developers, even if the developers supplied. And I don't think it's necessarily their job, but I'm just trying to find a compromise where we do get the information. And with people working, they can't always look it up, and that's quite frankly why we come to you. The other last point is maybe there's a compromise with this developer or any developer. We are a high-density area in the vision plan, but I have emailed you all, and I can tell many of the other community, there's compromise. The developers buy land under the same zoning that we private investors, private owners buy ours under RA. We don't buy it with the intention of changing it. They bought it under a certain zoning. So we as a community, you as commissioners, do have a right to decide maybe a compromise in the rezoning. That could be suggested, maybe larger lots of 1 to 2 homes per acre.
This is larger lots, and that is the compromise. They're much larger than anything that's been approved lately.
How many acres again? Correct me then. I mean, 10,000 square feet. There's 40,000 an acre.
43.5. It's going to wind up being probably about 3 houses an acre with the roads and all.
So that's not 2. That's 1 per.
But the last, how many developments have we approved that's been 6,000 or so square feet?
And we're not just going against this development. We spoke the same tune with everyone, with every development. So it's not just against.
Well, I understand.
I don't have anything personally against Mr. Sullivan. I've sang the same song to every meeting, just asking maybe for some transition. I've spoken to a lot of the community. A lot of people would like the chance at larger lots.
But this is our desired development with the growth management plan because it is 10,000 square foot lots. It's 10-foot setbacks on the sides. so you don't have 10 feet between houses, you got 20 feet. This is a desirable type plan
Why isn't the
for the
community?
neighborhood. Hmm?
That's not what we're hearing from the community. They didn't maybe understand what this density, maybe you all didn't understand when you made the vision plan, what this density was going to do to our
This
community.
density is probably less than any of the developments that these people live in that have spoken.
So we're just going to keep going forward, plowing forward because we did it in the past. We're going to keep going forward because we did it with the other communities.
Well, it's stepping up to a smaller density and houses per acre.
Sound like it. And from the current zoning, from what everybody is presenting about density, number of houses, drainage, runoff, doesn't sound like it.
Well, I don't know.
Well, that's my side of let's find some compromise. Let's get some numbers out to people so they're not scared. Don't, let's be respectful when they do ask questions. If she couldn't make that one meeting, that's all I was saying is let's answer.
Thank you. Mr. Mike Quinn, you have anything to add? Okay.
Gentlemen, I won't take up most of your time. Mike Quinn.
Address.
I'm getting there, sir.
Oh.
5730 Whispering Pines Way in Whispering Pines neighborhood. I'm going to come up here and normally don't tell my occupation, but I came here because of cyber. I came through here in 2003 as a young man. I found the area desirable, moved out and went off into Army land, got out, had the opportunity to return. I make the daily commute to Fort Gordon, which is a nightmare. Safety, number one. You know, in emergency management services, I don't see any representation from them, but I'm sure it's a nightmare for them when they have to make a call to that area.
Front row.
I think compromise, they're in uniform. They didn't represent themselves, so uniform is great, right? But what my point is there should be compromise, right? That's why we have a body. The community's here and wanting to speak their part. I think there can be compromise, and I think a through road is needed. It'd be a great connection. You can still build homes around that location. I'm not an engineering expert. I work and do cyber things. So safety being number one, right? I would like to see a view when I go to work instead of being landlocked. I think there's a lot of value in that property. Go from having beautiful property to landlocking it and just solidifying a neighborhood just for the sake of revenue. I work based off of pride, not revenue, obviously, right?
So do we, sir.
Right? So like I would like to have pride. I work with folks on Fort Gordon who say that their daily commute and their safety is at risk as well. I know that there's an expressway and some other things that could potentially be coming down the road for Fort Gordon, but that isn't now. So I think the enhancement to the road should and ought to be priority number one. That fits into the 2035 vision plan that I've read, and then also there's the Uchi Creek back there, for lack of better terms. I'm not sure how that neighborhood ties in with the plan for that, but I think there would be value and pride in having some connections to that trail. I know William Few is on that plan to enhance that roadway for
It'll be part of the greenway.
Sidewalks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So tying that in and making it prideful, I think we should strive for pride in the community, and I think it's there. But if you're just going to add to the volume of residential space, I'm not sure where the pride is at if you're just going to stick more homes in the way. So for the people that work on Fort Gordon, I would ask that you make the easement for us to get from point A to point B safely and in an accommodating way, because it's just not there. When I got here 2 years ago, my commute was 15, 20 minutes. It's turned into about 45 minutes. I take Old Louisville Road, the Gordon Highway. I can't go down William Few very far without getting stuck into, a school zone and whatnot. So sorry for my lack of preparedness tonight, but I didn't think I would be speaking tonight. But coming from Fort Gordon, I would hope that you guys would enhance that roadway and maybe compromise and think about a connecting road there and still think about some homes that are of value and preserve some of that.
We have that plan.
Okay.
Been working on for quite a while.
Okay.
It's now in the hands of the federal government to approve a new interchange on I-20 at Louisville Road
Okay.
with the intent of streamlining the traffic right into the new gate system at Fort Gordon.
Okay, that works out. Interstate 20 doesn't work for anyone who lives up in my area. So that while that's great, it still doesn't work for the folks that live in that area. So I thank you for your time, and I hope that you guys can come to compromise and make it more prideful and more safe for the folks that are driving on that roadway from there to the hospital or to Fort Gordon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, move now to our consent agenda. These are items that's been through the proper committee and received the necessary 3 votes to be put on consent, with the exception of the item that we move to debate here later on.
2 items, Mr. Chairman.
Here, 2 items, sorry. So if you're satisfied with this list, we'll take a motion to approve all of these as one vote.
So moved.
Second.
Any items need any further clarification? All in favor? Raise your right hand. Okay. We go now, I believe, to Mr. Duncan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion to accept a donation to Animal Services from Katie and Alan Anderson.
As an explanation, this was kind of done on a short-term basis because they are under some pressure to make the donation. It did not go to committee, but anytime you have money coming into the county for a good service, I think we'll go ahead and take it. All in favor? Okay. Commissioner Allen?
Yes, sir. I would like to make a motion to approve the request for rezoning from R2 to C1 located at tax map 074C 002, subject to the conditions enumerated in the October 4th, 2018 Planning Commission report.
Any discussion for this item? All in favor? Okay.
Next item, sir.
Yes.
I'd like to just say before I make this motion that this is one of the most difficult jobs we have. Deciding on the effect that zoning will have on our current citizenry and deciding on the allowances given to someone to develop and do with their own private property what they want to do. Not something that any of us take lightly, and it is not something that we go into without studying thoroughly, without investigating through our staff and administration very closely. This report is public if anyone would like to see it, but in brief, every agency spoken about and questioned, from the school system through emergency services, through everything, has signed off on this potential application. I may ask 1 or 2 of them to speak if we go into discussion, to elaborate a little bit, but I can tell you that everything from emergency services to traffic, schools, have been addressed by the experts in those fields. With all that being said, I will make a motion, and it is not the easiest to follow. So let me be, and I have a history of sometimes making it a little convoluted. So let me try to be as clear as possible. I would like to make a motion to approve the rezoning request from PUD and RA to R2 and a major PUD for a proposed residential subdivision, daycare and funeral home located at tax map 060, 161, 162, and 001A, subject to the conditions enumerated in the October 4th, 2018 Planning Commission report, with the following adjustments. That under those conditions listed in that report, planning, condition 3 is omitted. Traffic, condition 4 is omitted. In regards to the turn lanes, the turn lane for the first phase should be installed before the project begins. or at the beginning of the project. The second turn lane is to be installed after the first 100 homes are developed. In addition, Mr. Forshee, I think you made some good points, sir.
Be careful.
I would like to follow some of your leads on that, your recommendations regarding the amenities. I do know that originally our understanding was always that there would be shared amenities. I believe that was told up front in the selling of Magnolia Valley. Therefore, I'm going to choose your second option for the most part with some minor adjustments and make a condition that the developer of the area proposed as Bella Lake shall construct and operate an amenity area to consist of a pool and a playground. Said amenity area shall be constructed and in operation no later than the platting of the 150th residential lot in the development under this rezone. Said amenity area shall be shared and utilized equitably between the developments of Bella Lakes and Magnolia Valley Plantation as a continuation of the amenities originally provided to the Magnolia Valley Plantation subdivision. Appreciate your thoughtfulness, sir. That is my motion.
Second.
Motion on the floor. Did we have a second?
I second it, yeah.
All right. Is there further discussion with the commission?
Be allowed to ask him questions?
Yes, sir.
Traffic engineer?
Yes, sir.
Are there any,
Mr. Castle, I knew you were going to be on the spot.
would you make a few comments relative to this, Mr. Castle? And I wonder about concern of the audience with the future plans for traffic flow, traffic development. Are there any plans to increase the size of this road?
And the capacity of the road as it is now.
Right. At this point, as it applies to this development, we're going to make him address his impact along William Few. Your point about the road cutting through, I mean, we're looking for opportunities to make connections all over the county. We have grown, and we've eliminated some of those abilities along some of our corridors, but I think it's very important that we do connect William Few to
Hereford Farm
Road, because especially if you got Clanton that's going to go all the way up to that, to try to shorten trips and everything. The lady that was from Atlanta, I think if she remembers, that was one of the issues there was connectivity. Try to keep everything shorter and smaller and have retail opportunities within a certain amount of time to shorten trips as well. But we're looking at that all over the place. If you look at our TIA program, in addition to the I-20, I mean, we're looking at over $150 million investment in this area to address traffic. If you look at the William Few corridor down the line, we invested $800,000 to install a signal. William Few had the state support that broke that bottleneck with that. If you think it's bad now, with that three-way stop, it was horrible. We also did an interim improvement at the interchange to sort of help that commute. So we're definitely looking at the growth and where it's coming this area and how we can address it, both as it develops and as in the future. We're looking towards new projects. I know in the next week we got a meeting with the roundtable to start discussing the next TIA, if that's a desirable. I think listen to what people are saying. I sound like that's what they want, is to look at new transportation opportunities and how we improve it going forward. But as these new develops, I can assure you that I look at these things thoroughly, especially as they impact the people who are already out there. I go back and forth to Patriots Park and use this roadway all the time. I see what's going on out there. That's why I feel that the left turn lanes were an immediate need prior to anything triggering from the traffic study. Because he's going to do one, but I can tell him right now what it's going to say. It's going to say turn lane there pretty quick because of the background traffic that's out there that doesn't even account for future growth that's coming in outside of this development. So,
can you explain the advantage of the left turn lane?
The left turn lane
as to traffic overall.
Yeah, it keeps the main line flowing. So once somebody turns left and they back up cars behind them, then it takes a while for those cars to start spreading out. When they're not spread out, you can't get off of the side streets, neighborhood development. So when you keep it flowing, the gaps in the traffic start to occur. Areas that we're talking about where we have these issues are areas without left turn lanes. As we've installed them, and we've retrofitted several intersections around with turn lanes to fix just those problems. And we're looking at William Few to do some of those in the areas up near Windmill and Nob Hill Road, start addressing some of those and break some of these things loose. coming. It's a cumulative effect. I mean, we didn't get here overnight. We're not going to fix it overnight, but we are doing it as we go along. And I can tell you right now, it's all on my radar. But you mid-block and keeping the traffic flowing. We're addressing the capacity issues at the intersection. Washington Road is, I think there's more cars on it every morning. I turn out of there every morning longer and longer, and it's a good thing because I know it's providing relief other places. But Columbia Road is one we have on our radar to look at that as far as another TIA project to come through there. I do agree with that one. That'll provide relief to have her from road widening project. So, I mean, I think people would be shocked if they would ever come to my office and see exactly what we have in the works and as well as what we're looking towards. But yes, as far as for this development, I think we're going to hold them what they need, and we're looking for an opportunity to make that connection. We're looking more as a partnership than a partnership. Talked to Mr. Sullivan about it. I think he understood that what we were trying to do was to make that connection to help the county overall.
How about like expanding the road like you did in front of Jones Creek where you put a...
Exactly. That'd be the same thing. That's what we're looking. You know, a lot of it's limited by right-of-way and utilities, so we're looking for low-hanging fruit stuff we can get on the ground. I'm impatient as everybody else, so I like to do things quick, and I get frustrated sometimes with it too. So we start adjusting the lengths just to try to get the most benefit we can. But yeah, there's some opportunities that we're looking at over here. All at once, but we are doing them as we get them. Funding is a limitation, but we're being cost-effective by using in-house staff in combination with contractors. But as the new developments come on, we are holding them to the standard, through their frontage.
Did that cover it, Mr. Morris?
Sir, thank you.
Any other questions of staff? Thank you, Steve. Mr. Wallen, there's been concerns about emergency vehicles. Have you encountered any more than the usual delays as far as we have some stations out in that area, and what is your experience thus far?
No, sir, there's obviously traffic, but we have a fire station at the corner of Washington Road and Harding McManus. That station houses 24/7 firefighters as well as an ALS ambulance. We have a station on William Few at the Bartram Trail, which is 24/7 staffed. And then at William Few and Lewiston Road, there is also a fire station with a fully staffed fire truck, 100-foot aerial truck, and another ALS ambulance 24/7.
Chief, would you elaborate about our ISO rating, what that means?
The ISO rating, our rating is 1 on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the best. It achieved that rating February 1st of 2017. For homeowners, that's largely what you hope to be an insurance premium reduction. It states that we have excellent water capacity. It states that we have the appropriate type of apparatus to respond, and that the community has the appropriate mitigation for fire safety in the community.
Thank you, Jeremy. We had a lady in the back would like to say something.
You gotta come up.
Come up, Marlena.
And then I think this is worth noting. Marlena Bergeron, 2545 Willow Creek Court. Thank you all for all you do. Thank you all for being here. This is a testament to people who care. And that's why this is a community of pride. But if we don't do things right, and if we don't do things that enhance the community, then it's a community of profiteers. And we want to make this a beautiful place. Someone added that connecting the subdivision to the greenway could be an alternative form of transportation. I don't know Mr. Sullivan personally, so I will neither endorse nor impugn him as a person, but even if the fabulous Jody Lott wanted to build this subdivision and did it with precision and perfection, I would still have issues unless there was a commitment that it connected to the greenway and funded that portion to connect to the Uchee Creek Greenway. So all those households, we're talking 500 households with single passenger cars and usually 2 cars per household, We need to consider getting people out of their house by means besides the car. There's also rate times time equals distance, but there should be a population density coefficient that goes along with that. I have talked to Steve Castle. I've talked to the other Steve before. I would like it to be considered that the speed limit on William Few Parkway, which is a beautiful road, it's just too darn fast. If you go 45, you can control yourself. If you're looking up, you can control what you're doing. I would like the consideration, if this is going to be approved, that it connects to the Greenway and funds that portion, and that the speed limit of William Few Parkway be considered to be reduced to 40 miles per hour so that more people have more response time.
We can't make that a condition, but it's a point well taken.
Okay, thank you.
Andrew, the situation with the Greenway, I believe Mr. Sullivan has been willing to, the Greenway will be extended on back through the wetlands or somewhere.
Well, it still remains to be seen whether that's still a viable option, but it will at least extend along William Few Parkway.
Okay. Any other questions?
I just want to say, in that regard, I can only imagine as an amenity that is not that expensive, that the Greenway popularity that it is shown, I'm sure it would be something very strongly considered by any development in that area.
All right, gentlemen, we have a motion. Yes, sir.
I have a request of Mr. Sullivan. Sullivan, I appreciate you meeting with me this morning. We went over a lot of stuff, and I told you I had a concern of the density. And I would like to ask you, there's been a lot of conversation about compromise here tonight. I'd like to ask you, is there any way that you could be open with a compromise with R1A?
I would be glad to do that if you would take the 845 acres across the street that you put 4 units per acre that you endorsed, that's with 4,000 and 5,000 square foot lots, Commissioner. This is 10,000 square foot lots. The development we finished over at Magnolia Valley Plantation have 5-foot side setbacks. They have 55, 60, 62 foot, and 67 is the biggest. The smallest lot over here is 75 foot wide, 10-foot side setbacks, which means there's 20 feet between the houses. Across the street that you endorse, you have 4,000. These people don't know what they call Riverwood West, 4,000 square foot lots, 5,000 square foot lots, and they only have 5-foot side setbacks, Commissioner.
Yes, sir, I understand that, and that's part of my question. And I think where some of this comes up is, I think personally we have let get away from us where we packed the amount of people on William Few on one end of the table. And I don't think 2 rights make a wrong or whatever, and all of those have been approved, and there's nothing we can do about that. And I was just asking if that was something that you felt like you could compromise on, and if not,
This 10,000 square foot lot is the very center of the 2035 growth plan that is entered into the state of Georgia. It's across the street of Whispering Pines. I don't think people realize there's 300 lots coming on there, very small lots. So for us to be, which we did to ourselves, we put an R2 where there really shouldn't even be any conversation because it's very, very big lots. This new clubhouse is a $700,000 building. I know you're going to meet with the residents tomorrow at our other development. I would like to be at that meeting because only thing that I've seen really is that there is some miscommunication, and I've heard that here tonight. Mr. Cooper, when he's saying $20,000, we carried the association for 2 years. We built it only 90 lots of pool. Over at Whispering Pines, there's 400 lots. There's not a pool. So, yes. But I want to do it at our association. I love our association. And I've met with them, and so have these ladies. They don't work for me. They work for Southern Partners. But I'd like to meet with the association. I want them to be happy. And I think they're going to be very, very pleased when all this is said and we clear up some of the miscommunication, which I don't like. I think they're going to be very pleased with this development. This development will be very good for this county with these large lots.
All right.
One quick question. What's the build-out time subdivision?
That's a good point.
You passes today, you're talking
I mean, in regards to the gentleman that spoke earlier regarding, talking about the extra I-20 access and all the road development, it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't, but neither will this development. Development will not happen overnight either. You will not wake up tomorrow with a couple hundred homes next to you.
Gentlemen, we have a motion on the floor. Second, we've had a good bit of discussion. It's time now to vote. You know what the motion is. You've got a second. All in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed. Now, the motion passed 3-2. Next item.
There's more. Got to catch up, pardon me.
Figured out?
Is this the cemetery road? Is this I-2B3?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And we do not have a motion recommended for that. I would like to make a motion regarding I-2B3 and the cemetery and road acceptance. I don't have the details of that map. Let me pull that up. Pardon me 1 second.
Commissioner Allen, I think in that particular case, the staff was just looking for direction on whether or not to accept that. There was a lot of discussion back and forth about that, and when it went through committee, there was a lot of discussion about whether or not we would put that road in, and I know there's been a lot of staff discussion about that.
We were discussing that even earlier today. With the hour being what it is and with the complexity of that particular discussion, I'd make a motion that we table this item until next commission.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay.
All right, item I-2B4, I would like to make a motion to award the design-build contract to SD Clifton for the plaza parking deck. The cost not to exceed $4 million.
And a motion? Have a second?
I'll second it with questions.
Go ahead.
Have they ever built a parking deck?
Well, the people that they've got
They're
have.
subbing it.
It's the same concrete people that do most of the parking decks.
This was an RFQ for a firm to do a design build. So basically what we have is you have a general contractor who has a subcontractor that is a designer of all they do really is parking decks. So that's the reason that this particular firm was chosen. They have the folks that design these parking decks have a really good track record for doing it. And this particular firm gave us the most amount of spaces for the money we had allotted for the project.
Kind of a different way of going about it. Rather than saying, we want this, how much will it cost us? We're saying, we have this much, what can we get for it?
Correct, because we have a need for as many parking spaces as possible. So if we would have just said, build a deck for 200 spaces and it would have come in at $3 million, we'd have had $1 million to have to figure out how to build spaces somewhere else. So we did turn that around and set the maximum budget at the amount that was in the voter-approved SPLOST, and looked to firms to come in with different design options, and this was the best according to the committee that went and reviewed all of the RFQs, interviewed all the firms, and then made their recommendation.
And this amount, I think, runs up from 200 spaces to 280.
A minimum of I believe it's 285, 282, Mr. Chairman, but it could even be more than that.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay.
Item I-2B5, sir, I happily make a motion to table the Flowing Wells Road Widening Phase 1 bid 2018027, bid 3313 to the November 20th meeting to allow staff time to review the bid. Make sure it's right.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Mr. Allen, I believe we have a couple of real estate matters.
Yes, sir. Let's run through those. I make a motion to approve resolution number 18-042, declaration of taking and order by condemnation for a portion of tax map 061A058 for the Lewiston Road widening project.
Second.
Discussion, that only leaves, what, 300 more?
Yeah.
Give or take. All in favor?
And lastly, sir, I'd like to make a motion to approve $7,700 to Lewiston Road Investment Group LLC, Parcel 5 to obtain right-of-way and/or easements for the Lewiston Road widening project, $299 now.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Okay. Mr. Driver, I assume we have no legal matters?
We do not tonight.
Do you have any additional comments by the commission?
I'd like to say, just like what we just mentioned, of how many more of these parcels we need to get right away, how long it takes for us, talking about the time it takes to build these roads and all, get 300 people, and then a lot of people don't want to participate, and then you have to go through all of the legal actions to acquire that property. So it's a long time to get this stuff put together to roads on.
Mr. Chairman, if I might add to that, just one quick item. We discussed a little bit about Washington Road. A lot of people don't know that Washington Road, we started talking about 2007, and in 2008 began that process, and we are now finishing up in 2018. It took 10 years to get that project done. But had the commission in 2008 not had the foresight to do Washington Road, and had we been relying on the state to do it, and it was a state road, it still wouldn't be widened today. But we have some $240 million worth of funded projects already on the books for the next 5 years in Columbia County. That's a lot more than anybody else in this region, thanks to the TIA and thanks to the SPLOST and the other things we're doing. So there's a lot of foresight going into the roads being built, and that doesn't always get relayed to the public. So I just felt like it was important to bring that up.
Well, I agree with you, and you can look at Riverwatch Parkway. First phase was done back in the late 80s, early 90s.
That's correct.
The second phase on into Columbia County was done this past year.
That's correct.
So it's just one of those things.
Just one more quick thing for me, sir. Anyone who might be left regarding the William Few Parkway rezoning, I just wanted to say I apologize for not being able to respond to all the emails that I received. I received a lot of emails. But I do want everyone to be assured that they were all read by me, and I did take it all into consideration. Thank you for your comments.
And along the same line, Commissioner Allen, I'd like to assure them that every one of those concerns is talked about in the process as to how this is going to be handled, the timing. This development is an upgrade from what's going on in that area for quite some time. Because R2 is one of our more desirable neighborhoods as far as the commission's concerned. It's not as desirable as R1, but it is much more desirable than a real high density that's been, going on anyway. So we thought with the 10,000 square foot lots, the 10-foot setbacks, this is a much better usage of that land than some of the developments that had been approved years and years ago. So, again, we should do a better job of communicating, I guess, and having this information out to the public.
And also on that, Mr. Chairman, I didn't vote in favor for this, but Mr. Sullivan has taken on a lot of conditions, and I think what that he has agreed to accept to do in this is going to make this, for lack of a better term, it is going to be better. We're going to see the traffic flowing there with the left turn lane and all. And I think, or I'll commit to saying, moving forward, any rezoning that comes before, I will do all I can to make sure that we have left-hand turns so the traffic continue to move.
Well, I'd like for us, as I thought we accomplished a year or so ago, that we don't have any lots less than 10,000 square feet. We don't have any setbacks less than 10 feet. I think that should be a blanket requirement for every new subdivision that comes along.
One comment, Mr. Chairman, and I'd like to challenge staff to find ways to put those, and we talked about it with Steve, which you have in front of Jones Creek, where you can put a turn lane in the middle where you can't necessarily get a left-hand turn. It's already built, and there's no way to do that. Then we can find a way to widen it and make it flow through more smoothly.
Or at least a little runaround like we did at Nob Hill Road way back with safety funds from DOT.
We have several of those that we're looking at on a regular basis. Mr. Castle's got several of those he's recommended. We're looking at ways to fund those. I've got some ideas about how we can do that without raising any taxes or doing anything out of the ordinary, so we'll continue to do those quick fix projects.
Mr. Morris, you have anything to add?
I move that we adjourn.
I'll second
Best
that.
motion all night.
All in favor? We are adjourned.
I think we did a good job, fellas.